You're a monster and will forever be titled a triple murderer.
Saying to pull the trigger to kill your son, that's not right.
This was the moment when 17-year-old TJ Lane spoke to his victims' families. 11 months before this was recorded, TJ did something nobody could have ever expected.
911, where's your emergency?
We just had a shooting at our school. We need to get out of here.
We have 3 students down in the cafeteria at this time. We still don't know where the shooter is.
Chaos, you have terror.
Teachers locked the door. We had to hide under the desks.
I heard people running down my hallway screaming.
He didn't say anything the entire time. He took one shot.
He knew what he was doing. He planned this out. Totally disgusted by that.
This was something that beyond anything this town had ever experienced before.
How could you know what pain you could experience at 14 years old? Because it shouldn't happen to anybody.
It's February 27th, 2012. Chardon High School students are getting ready for a new school day. Before classes begin, many gather in the cafeteria to hang out. Among them are 5 friends: Daniel Parmador, Russell King, Demetrius Hewlin, Joy Rickers, and Nick Walzak. They seem happy, sharing some laughs. Little do they realize their lives are about to take a disturbing turn for the worse.
911, where's your emergency?
We just had a shooting at our school. We need to get out of here. Oh my God.
Okay, ma'am, we got a school shooting. Ma'am, what school?
Chardon High School.
Chardon High School?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, can you go get the administration? Okay.
Everyone's running away, so
Where's the student with the gun?
I don't know. He was in the cafeteria and everyone just started running.
Do you see the shooter?
No, I didn't. I just saw the gun.
Okay, did you see the gun?
Yeah.
Okay, now listen to me. Where are you at?
I'm outside the school right now. We hear the sirens.
I was right by the shooter when he pulled the gun.
Are you locked in the room that you're in?
No.
Can you lock the door?
Can anybody lock the door? No, we cannot lock the door. We just need somebody down here as fast as possible.
We're getting them there.
As police cars hurry to the school, students are scared for their lives.
You hear lockdown, lockdown. This is not a drill. Teachers locked the door. We had to hide under the desks, close all the blinds. No one knew what was going on.
As they hide, multiple gunshots can be heard, echoing through school hallways.
We were all just 13, 14 years old. Everything I saw, when I looked, was undescribable. I saw police cars, fire trucks, ambulances.
Division Commander Scott Nehus receives 2 phone calls from a SWAT team, urging him to hurry to the school. As he comes closer, a sheriff runs towards his car, visibly distressed.
And he told me that there was an active shooter at Chardon High School, and that the shooter was at large.
At the moment, they have information suggesting there might be a second shooter. Considering this, they have to be very careful when approaching this situation.
Hi, Chardon High School. We had shots fired, multiple gunshots.
One of the victim's mother gets a call from her sister, telling her that something is happening at the school.
What is she calling me for? She's like, Dina, there's something going on at Chardon High School.
She can sense fear in her voice. Immediately, she tries to call her son, Danny, but he isn't answering.
I knew something bad had happened.
Following this, she frantically drives to her home, trying to figure out what happened. On the way home, she gets a call. It says it's Danny.
I was like, oh my God, yes. There was this guy, and he goes, are you Danny's mom?
The caller is actually a police officer. Still in shock, Dina doesn't know what's happening.
Then he goes, you have to go to Metro Hospital right now.
As Dina panickingly drives to the hospital, police officers are doing their best to find the shooter. They still don't know if the shooter is alone.
At that point, we're working to clear the school and to evacuate students to the reunification area. The shooter was still at large. So we're very, very keenly aware that in and amongst the groups of students, there could be somebody else that's involved.
As the students are carefully escorted out of the school, officers now hear stories of what happened. The shooter entered the school cafeteria and, all of a sudden, started shooting.
The shooter fired his weapon at least 10 times in the cafeteria and then exited the building. All of that occurred in a very, very fast period of time.
In the meantime, Dina reaches her home. There, her husband gets in the car, and together, they drive to the hospital as fast as they can.
We were driving fast. I mean, we were in a panic.
As they arrive to the metro, they immediately jump out of the car. Panic sets in as they desperately search for their son, their voices echoing through the hallway.
I'm like, where is my son? I want to see my son. And we're yelling, and Bob's yelling, we want to see our son.
Finally, they burst into a room, pulling aside a curtain to reveal the emergency room scene. There, they can see Danny lying in a bed, fighting for his life. Soon, doctors start doing CPR, desperately trying to keep him alive.
I remember there was some nurses, and I was like standing here, remember, and I just grabbed her, and I said, you got to bring him back. Like, I remember saying that. I was like yelling at the support worker. You got to save my son, Danny. Bring him. He is coming back.
Moments later, Danny dies. In that moment, Dina realizes the gravity of the situation.
Danny was gone. My son was gone. I don't know if it was like an official word to us, but we knew.
Medical staff begin to leave the room, leaving parents to say their goodbyes. They stand there with tears streaming down their faces.
I mean, it was a terrible sight. It was blood. But I didn't know what happened. Why was he here like this? Why? I didn't know.
At that moment, parents realize someone murdered their son.
Within the past hour, we learned one of the 5 students shot this morning in a high school just east of Cleveland, Ohio, has died. The other 4 are being treated in hospitals.
The sad news is that we have 1 deceased student right now. 5 injured. Recently just got called that the 1 student has passed away.
Help pours in from everywhere to support the search. The mission is to find the shooter and finally put an end to his reign of terror. Soon enough, the police find their first clue about his whereabouts.
They had footprints in the snow, and that track took them off to the east, away from the school.
However, there are still students locked down in the school, and the police still don't know if there is a second shooter. As parents find out what is happening at school, they panic and hurry there to make sure their kids are fine.
All right, I want you back. Back up.
Following this, students are finally free to leave the school. Among them is Danny's little sister.
The teacher walks me out to the principal's office, and I saw my grandpa there. And my grandpa's usually a very funny, outgoing guy. I knew something was very off because he was barely talking.
Reaching home, she finally learns what happened to her older brother.
Because it shouldn't happen to anybody. You know, who would think that your family would just have that?
911, where's your emergency?
On Robinson, or on Wynn Road, there's a boy sitting on the side of the road.
He actually told her that he had hurt people at the school.
Aware of the shootings, the lady immediately calls 911 to inform them about the boy. Following this, police officers quickly rush to the scene, finally putting the shooter in handcuffs.
No, it's right there. You guys right to remain silent. Anything you say, Anna will be in shape corner law. The right to talk to attorney.
The officers recover the gun used in the incident, along with a knife found by the roadside. The shooter is then taken to the sheriff's office for interrogation.
What do you go by? Tom, TJ?
Usually TJ.
TJ, okay. What's your date of birth?
September 19. 17.
After obtaining the personal information, the detectives moved on to questioning about the crime.
Okay, we're gonna get those handcuffs off you.
All right.
When we do that, we do need to take a look at your hands, okay?
All right.
Do you want to turn around for me?
But first, they needed to photograph the injuries sustained during the attack.
Did Detective Billis agree to your Miranda rights?
Yes.
Since TJ Lane was shaking from shock, they decided to change him into different clothes.
You want to come with me? We'll go ahead and get you changed.
I could leave the room. You can change in here if you want.
Okay, that's fine.
Anything else?
No, I think we're good. Thank you. TJ, tell me what happened.
I went to school. I had a gun and a knife in my book bag and sat down in the cafeteria table and fired a first shot through the book bag.
Why did this happen?
I don't even know myself.
Is it something that you've been thinking about for a while?
No, like 2 weeks.
Okay. Was there something that happened 2 weeks ago that kind of...
Nothing. I have no problems with anybody. I don't really talk to many people, so I can't have problems with them.
The shooter is 17-year-old Thomas Michael T.J. Lane III. Lane actually attends classes as a sophomore at Lake Academy, an alternative school located in nearby Willoughby. This school, also called the Lake County Educational Service Center, has 55 students.
But he took a bus to Chardon High School and picked up another bus that would take him to his other school.
Although Lane is arrested, officers still don't know if there is a second shooter, and they need to act quickly to find out.
We don't want potential co-conspirators or persons that were involved to get away from us or to hurt anybody else.
TJ has no criminal history in the past, only a minor assault case. Nothing hints that he would ever commit a serious crime. Once detectives get a hold of the school security cameras, it is clear what happened. The footage confirms that he is indeed the sole perpetrator of the incident. In the video, TJ can be seen entering the school at around 7 a.m.
He took a seat near the north end of the cafeteria at a table by himself, and there was a table about 2 tables in front of him that he appeared to be looking at.
He had a bag with him, in which he carried a gun. At approximately 7:30 a.m., TJ stood up and pointed a bag with a gun towards Russell King. Through the bag, he shot Russell in the head.
He then pulled the gun out, stood up, and shot at the table, hitting the 2 other boys, Demetrius Hewlin and Danny Parmenter, in the head.
Following this, another boy, Nick Walzak, who was sitting at the table, stood up and started running for his life. TJ then started running after him through the hallway. He then shot him in the back, after which he ran away. As Lane was leaving the school, he shot a female student, Joy. Football coach Frank Hall chased him out of the building. As TJ was aiming at him, Hall charged at the shooter, trying to drive him away from the students.
But before the rampage could go any further, a school football coach chased the suspect out of the school, where he escaped on foot. He was arrested just a short distance away. That coach and many other teachers being hailed as heroes tonight.
Despite being considered a hero, Frank thinks he hasn't done enough for the students of his school.
I don't know why this happened. I only wish I could have done more. I'm not a hero. Just a football coach and a study hall teacher.
Teacher Joe Ricci was just beginning his math class when he heard the sound of gunshots. Quickly, he ordered his students to lock down. Hearing groans outside the classroom, Ricci took a bulletproof vest, opened the door, and pulled injured student Nick Walzak inside. There, he administers first aid, ensuring Nick's safety. After the shootings, TJ's school colleagues describe him as a shy kid who, they thought, could never commit such a horrible crime.
He's been described as a quiet teen, one friend telling me he'd seen a change, but nothing that raised alarms.
He was a good student in school, and he just like turned goth, and like his grades started dropping.
We heard a loud pop, like a firecracker almost.
Yeah.
And I turned around and I looked, and he was standing above his table, pointing his gun, and he took one more shot.
Some say he was bullied, but that's not confirmed. As TJ grew older, he became more and more of a loner. Even so, people claimed he was fine. He just became more reserved and quieter.
When did you start to see the separation?
Since freshman year, I would go into the cafeteria. He'd be sitting there, by himself and everything.
Considering the possible motives, there are rumors that Russell King Jr., the first person TJ shot, was dating TJ's ex-girlfriend, and that Russell had threatened TJ. But that's also unconfirmed. These are just rumors circulating. In fact, a clear motive isn't established. Interestingly, 2 months before, TJ shared a disturbing post on Facebook. In a time long since a time of repent, the Renaissance in a quaint lonely town sits a man with a frown, no job, no family, no crown, ending with, now feel death not just mocking you, not just stalking you, but inside of you. Wriggle and writhe, feel smaller beneath my might, seizure in the pestilence that is my side. Die, all of you. However, nobody took this post as a warning sign. At the end of the day, 3 victims died as a result of the shootings.
4 of the victims had been taken to the hospital for surgery. It wasn't until later that we learned that 3 of the victims had in fact died due to their injuries.
30 hours after the shooting, Danny Parmator, Demetrius Hewlin, and Russell King Jr. had all died from multiple gunshot wounds. A 4th victim, Nick Walczak, survived, but remains paralyzed from his injuries. On the evening after the attack, thousands gather for a vigil at St. Mary's Catholic Church in Chardon.
And the community and the support was unbelievable.
Following this, a funeral is organized for the victims.
Me and my brother Dominic went up, put our flowers on together. We were the first ones. I said goodbye, big brother.
There was a sense of innocence that was lost that day about this town.
Following the incident, TJ is immediately taken to the police, where he is interrogated. There, he tells the detectives a story about why he thinks he did it.
You said there's something else that you wanted to tell me?
Yeah. A long time ago when I was younger, when I'd be extremely nervous, I used to hear like voices. It hasn't happened forever, and even though today I was extremely nervous, it didn't happen at all. It was when I was way younger. I figured that's something I should know.
Since the voices in his head were not the reason, detectives continue to search for the true motive.
Was it something you saw, maybe a movie, that gave you the idea, thought it would be kind of neat?
No.
Different? What?
Most of the time I thought about it, I didn't really want to do it.
So why did you?
It felt like it was forced, I don't know.
Forced from who?
Nobody could really force me to, so I don't know.
TJ Lane confidently claims that he does not know why he did it. Detectives begin questioning the morning before the crime itself. They ask him what he last said to his mother.
You didn't say anything to her? Did you tell her goodbye or anything like that?
No.
Was there another student with you today, a friend with you today when this was going on?
No.
Do you have a cell phone or anything like that?
I do.
Okay, did you call anyone or?
No, I left it at home.
You left it at home. Why did you leave that at home too?
I didn't need it for anything.
Don't you normally take it to school now?
Yeah, usually every day.
So why not today?
You wouldn't need to call anybody if I was shooting people.
He claims a voice in his head forced him to do it. At this point, detectives aren't sure if he is just making up a story or really telling them the truth. By lying, he may want to present himself as mentally insane.
Under Ohio law, if someone is mentally ill and that mental illness causes them to not understand the wrongfulness of their actions, that would be an affirmative defense of a claim of not guilty by reason of insanity, where they could not actually be convicted of the offense.
It is now June 8th. TJ is facing 6 charges brought earlier: 3 counts of aggravated murder, 2 counts of attempted murder, and 1 count of assault. He has a chance to plead whether he is guilty or not.
The 17-year-old charged in the shooting deaths of 3 fellow students pleaded not guilty today.
I remember saying, what's gonna happen here? He did it. I kept saying he did it. He confessed.
The main reason the case stretches on for nearly a year is the constant clash of experts. Defense experts argue he's insane, while prosecution experts insist he's not.
I was getting mad. We had no control over this. We had no say in anything. We had to sit there, and we already been dealt this terrible hand, and now there's more, and there's more, and they're just pouring salt in our wounds.
Eventually, prosecution discovers that TJ has been deceiving law enforcement about his mental state. He finally confesses that he fabricated everything and that he has no mental illnesses.
This was all just kind of a game for him.
Finally, on February 26, 2013, exactly a year after the incident, TJ pleads guilty.
So did you plead guilty today?
Yes, Your Honor.
You understand that you're pleading guilty. You want to plead guilty to the 3 aggravated murder charges with 3 firearm specifications.
Yes, Your Honor.
So now we knew the next hearing we go to is the sentencing. The judge stated that each victim could have a representative read their impact statement.
With the guilty plea on the table, the death penalty is no longer an option since he is being tried as a juvenile. This decision also spares the deeply distressed families from the ordeal of a trial. Typically, at sentencing, the accused either denies their actions, claiming innocence, or expresses remorse, acknowledging their mistake. However, TJ Lane does neither. Instead, he does something unprecedented and far more disturbing.
Mr. Flays, could you please introduce your table?
Thank you, Your Honor. To my left is Nicholas Burling, Geauga County Assistant Prosecutor. Mark Bartolotta, Geauga County Assistant Prosecutor.
He's wearing a t-shirt with "Killer" written on it, the same t-shirt he wore on the day of the shooting. TJ smirks, stares, and even smiles as he watches the family members of the victims in the courtroom. Following this, the families have a chance to give their victim statements.
Nick is a very kind and loving. Why would you want to hurt him? You don't know kind. You're evil. I will have to eventually forgive you. Otherwise, you will haunt me. You will never, ever be in my thoughts after this. Never.
I could tell he was running. He was out of breath and could barely breathe. I asked, "Have you heard anything?" He said, "Yes, he's been shot." My body went numb and my mind went blank.
I want him to suffer the rest of his life the way I will suffer the rest of my life without Danny.
His attorney advises him to stay silent, warning him that any words could affect a future appeal. However, nobody could have ever expected what he would do next.
Saying to pull the trigger to kill your son, you know, masturbates to memory of you.
Nobody was saying anything. I thought I have officially now, crossed over. I've lost my mind. I'm done, because I am not seeing this.
Consequently, TJ is sentenced to 3 life sentences without parole. However, this is not where the story ends.
19-year-old TJ Lane escaped from the Allen County Correctional Center in Lima, Ohio, with 2 other inmates Thursday night. One of the inmates was recaptured, and a massive search is underway for Lane.
Lane breaks out of Allen Correctional Institution in Lima, Ohio, with 2 older inmates. They use a homemade ladder to climb the fence during recreation time. As TJ breaks out, Chardon High School immediately goes into lockdown.
I can tell you the SWAT team is on the ground searching right now. They're warning people in the area not to open their doors to strangers and not to pick up hitchhikers.
I spoke with one of the corrections officers. He advised that the 2 that we're trying to track down are both doing life. Maybe I have nothing to lose here, so be alert.
One inmate is caught quickly, while TJ and the other stay on the run. However, just 6 hours later, TJ is arrested again.
5.5 hours he was on the run, peacefully captured just about 100 yards away from this prison here. He was armed with a pitchfork. He was wearing his prison blues. He did not put up a fight.
Captured again without much resistance, he continues his troublesome ways in prison. There he repeatedly lands in trouble, from making a mess to giving himself a tattoo and refusing to follow rules. After his escape attempt, he is moved to a maximum security facility where he remains to this day. At last, Danny's mother reflects on the incident.
I'm definitely still struggling, battling with it. I know it's just the way I guess I have to cope with this forever, which I'm going to, but I'm not. There's no miraculous cure for me or any way, because I feel guilty. I shouldn't be living my life when Danny can't.